Well, welcome back everybody. My name's Andrew and you're watching the Kelly's Country Life. So today we're taking a break from working on the pole barn house and we're going to jump back on the storm shelter to kind of do some final details to it, tidying up and getting some conveniences done so we can get ready to use it. Now I'm going to be honest with you, something kind of triggered me to get out here and start on this today. I was laying in bed last night and just happened to pull up, I think it was Google, and there was a news headline right there from the Orlando News, and it said they are already watching the tropics and looking at a potential development next week in the Gulf of Mexico. I said, you've got to be kidding. It's May, and apparently I think it's like the last 6 years in May we have had a storm pop up early. So they're talking about extending hurricane season on into May. They're already starting to watch and they're already giving updates. Now if something does develop next week, we expect it to be weak. Chances are it may not even come here, but because they're talking Gulf of Mexico, which is right here, it just got me thinking, let's get out here, let's get in gear. I've just got the final of everything I need to kind of button the shelter up, and let's get it ready to be used, because chances are we're gonna have to ride out a hurricane or two this year. Hopefully we don't, but we're gonna be ready for it. And it could be as soon as next week. You just never know anymore nowadays. So let's get to work. Let me show you what we're gonna do. So I have some leftover materials from the house that I have been eyeballing. I think we're going to wind up doing some drip edge. I've been wanting to do that just to make sure nothing blows up underneath. Even though I use pressure treated wood on the outside, I just want to protect it really well. So while I have some metal drip edge, I think I might trim some of this brake metal up and actually use it instead of the drip edge. And I may use a piece of that drip edge and put over the door. Now the door's been sealed very well. I think if I were to put a piece of what we'll call flashing now, but it's drip edge over this, where it would direct the water off, a lot of people brought that up into my attention. It just would make for sure that I have a lot less chance, a lot less likely of ever leaking down into the top of the door, even though that's yet to happen. The other thing I am not happy with, and haven't been since day one, is that tiny little ridge cap. As you can see, this roof has a very, very, very low pitch, and I am concerned water is going to blow up underneath it. So I bought some foam sealer because the roof is technically vented on either side with these vents that I made. It's very well vented, so it can't pressurize greatly. I don't necessarily need a vented ridge cap. So we're going to try to seal the ridge cap up, and I have got one that is, oh goodness, probably 3 times as wide now that I'm looking at it. That'll really help with rain trying to blow up underneath. So we're going to start on the outside, then we're going to move to the inside. I have quite a few things in the back of the Ranger that we're going to install in here, kind of creature comforts and things for safety as well. And we'll kind of wrap this build series up. All right, so I bought some of this foam stripping that's already notched out to go over the humps on the tin right here. And it's non-breathable, but this should really seal out any blowing rain that I have. Again, the whole attic is vented on either side of the roof. Plus, it could still blow out the very ends of this ridge cap. Now, if we get some major wind, it could still blow this foam out. But this would be an extra protection against any rain blowing underneath. And I am happy to say I just removed the old vent cap, looked in on top of the roof. I didn't see any water damage. No rain has been making it underneath there, but we've yet to have a hurricane or really bad storm. So I marked out the very edge of where the ridge cap will go, and we're going to install these pieces. They got a little bit of tacky glue on the bottom right here on the inside edge of that. So when we put the ridge cap down over top of it and screw it in, it seals everything out. All right, there we are with a much wider ridge cap, probably 3 times as wide, and completely sealed out from the elements with foam all the way across. So no concerns of blowing rain anymore. This here is some leftover rake metal, I think it's called. I keep calling it brake metal for some reason. But I am going to actually trim it down and turn it into very large drip edge, because again, the drip edge that I have, I want to use for drip edge over the door or flashing. And I don't feel like going and buying any of this stuff when I have scrap that I can use. So I'm going to trim this to length. I've just went and measured the length of my drip edge that I want. And we have to trim this little lip right here off. And I've got a really cool tool to do that with. So this here is a pair of DeWalt nibblers, but it's made to go on either a drill or an impact, and it fits my impact awesome. But as you can see, it is just a drill powered pair of 10 snips, and it works so good. I'm not looking for a good straight clean cut here, but this thing will haul butt. It goes fast. Because this is going to wind up going underneath the tin on the roof, you'll never see the edge that I'm going to cut right here. So it's just about that simple. Snaps right into my impact driver. Then you hand tighten this piece down here. Just clamp it somewhere on here. Now it's ready to go. Insanely fast. Be careful with this sharp tin. All right, so the outside is done. We have a nice big drip edge right there, and I went ahead and screwed it in, even though it's tight, because again, this is storm shelter. I want to make sure that can handle all the wind we'll get. And I went ahead and did a nice drip edge over the door. It is way past the seam and seal, several inches over. So that'll shed water on the outside of the door now. That's a good touch, I do believe. Drip edge over here as well, and huge, and I mean huge, ridge cap up top. It's also been foam sealed out for any blowing rain. So now it's time to get inside. All right, so one of the first things I want to do here, somebody brought up a good point that if we open up this door in the wind, and if it's really windy and a bad storm's on us, it could blow all the way open, and we might not be able to get it closed because there's so much wind there. So, bought a relatively thick chain, and I'm going to run to one of these bolts on the door, and we're going to put a bolt up in here somewhere and see if we can bolt this in. All right, so I just installed a camera on the outside, and it's a very low quality camera, but something just to give us a view if there's a storm. And I have discovered I have to get one more adapter so I can extend the RCA cable around the room and plug it to the TV. So I've temporarily just ran everything, make sure that it'll work. As y'all can see, not the best picture on earth, but I can see our little dog running around out here, the house, trees, and this is also a nighttime camera, so when we're in here, and you know, you hear things hitting on the side of the building and crazy wind and all, it's going to be a nice feeling to be able to turn on the camera and just get a general idea of what's going on outside. All right, so the next thing that somebody suggested I should hook up, and it was an excellent idea, one of these HDTV kind of just over-the-air antennas. I am shocked. I am inside this storm shelter, 6-inch thick walls, metal roof. I just hooked this very cheap antenna up, and it found 17 or 20 stations like that, including some that are 30 or 40 miles away that are news stations, ABC, CBS, that'll give us updates if there's any kind of a hurricane. So this is just yet another backup option other than cell phones, weather radio. We can kind of see what's going on in here as well. And it gives us free television, something to take our mind off things. On top of all that, I might have went a little overboard. It's so cheap. I got one of these Amazon Fire Sticks that'll do YouTube, Netflix, Hulu, anything you want. So if we're out here, we can just hotspot off of our phone, hook into our Hulu account or YouTube account, and watch anything we want. So between this antenna up there, some stations come in good, some not so much. But I've already checked that our local ABC, CBS news stations do come in quite well. So between that and this, we've got all that we need. And the cool thing about this is you can do the My Weather app and get free updates, tropical storm, hurricane updates, things like that as well. So that's pretty awesome. Now we're talking, Jerry Springer. All right, well, I think this is as far as I'm going to get today. We have our TV now hooked up with a external antenna. As you can see, my Amazon Fire Stick's downloading the latest software right here. So we're gonna have lots of options for things to distract us, take our mind off things, as well as the weather apps, local weather stations, news stations. So we got a lot of options here. Really happy about that. We got the EcoFlow power supply that can run anything in here, including the AC, should we lose power. I also hooked up a surge protector. A lot of people recommended that if we're going to be out here in storms and trying to power up electronics. Surge protector is an absolute must. And all we'll have to do is just unplug the surge protector, plug it into here, and we can power everything that's hooked into it, make it nice and convenient. AC, carbon monoxide detector, weather radio. We got the camera hooked up outside. I've had to order one adapter just to extend the cable over. So that's something I'll do off camera. Run the cables around the top, and doesn't look the world's best, but it's a storm shelter, and get them down neatly behind the TV, plugged in, powered up, so we can just swap right over to that camera anytime we want to look outside. So it's pretty much done. Tiffany and I are going to go shopping for a futon. That's the last thing that we want in here, but we do have chairs ready to go. There is a kind of off-grid commode, so to speak, behind you as well, with some toilet paper. We brought water out here. We're still going to work on a first aid kit, some medicine, stuff for our little dog, you know, a little bed, change of clothes, all that stuff. We're already making a list and gonna kind of bring out here. So it's pretty close to being done. Let me show you something else. So we got the chain to the door, so it can open no more than that and sling open in the wind. Like I said, we got the drip edge on it. The roof is buttoned up. There's that camera for one last good look right there, pointed right toward the house. It's got a shroud over it to keep the rain off the lens, keep it clear. So that's a nice touch. So it's pretty much done. So I'm running out of time today, but I have also bought some earth augers. We'll cover that in another episode, kind of just do random things around the property. But I'm going to build a little adapter to go on the post hole driver of my tractor. I bought some 40-inch long earth augers that we're going to drill in the ground at each corner. I've bought some big 1/2-inch bolts, and we're actually going to bolt them into the shed. So should we get some just catastrophic, majorly strong storm, it couldn't actually roll this over. But keep in mind, it's on an 8-inch thick slab that's buried in the ground, has rebar, 6-inch thick solid walls. This is extremely heavy structure. I just don't know that we get storms here that could blow this over. But just to be careful, we are going to go ahead and earth auger this into the ground. Like I said, we'll just cover that on another episode. Don't have time to go weld and build an adapter today and run the tractor, but I will show you all that. So thank you so much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed this. I think we are now one step closer to having this exactly where we need it, with just a few more little minor touches to do.